I'm supposed to read these?
Yeah.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Max's Super Awesome Comic Review Show. I am the Max. Tonight there was no Foxy.
Except behind the camera,
Alright.
as has
There
been
you are.
previously established.
I'm sorry, Foxy. I can't see your tiny little head behind the camera. We have, man, Secret War is in like full swing now. There's a ton more tie-ins that came out. It was crazy. Convergence wrapped up, which finally actually makes sense now. They went to pre-crisis. The crises never happened. That's how they're handling that one. So, the 52 was always part of the multiverse, will always be part of the multiverse, and the multiverse was never destroyed in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, there you go. Your DC continuity brought to you by Max. But, let's move on to the top 5 this week.
Hey, on the bright side, Convergence Shazam.
Yeah. Convergence Shazam was awesome and didn't make the top 5 only because they interrupted my reading pleasure with like 8 pages of ads, so...
Take that, DC.
Like in a row. Like in a row. Like 1 page ad, I'm like, cool. But if it's 8 in a row, I'm like, man, I have so much of this book left to read, and then I turn the page and there's nothing but ads.
Yeah. You're like, oh, the story's over? That's right. Oh, no, there was just a huge
And then
speed
there's
bump.
like 2 pages at the back of the book to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Terrible planning.
Way to go, editorial. Anyway.
We digress because I'm bitter at this point. But the top 5 this week is really awesome because we have 2 incredible number 1s, 2 fan favorite series, and then, you know, the return of Old Man Logan, which is your number 5 this week. Only this time, it's Brian Michael Bendis bringing it to you. Foxy was Millar that did the original one, right?
It was.
It was, yes. And so Bendis does an awesome job stepping into it. Old Man Logan, now part of Battle World, is under Doom's control, but he knows that something's going wrong, so he's gonna do what Old Man Logan does.
Stirring the trouble.
The troubles, yep. I love the artwork for it. What was that guy's name? Sorrentino, yeah. Man. Coming in at number 4, pretty much since we got around to reading the first issue, this book has been making it onto the top 5 because it's The Suiciders by Lee Bermejo. Incredible stuff. Man, issue 4 took the action up to a whole new level. We finally get to see like 2 suicide fights, the main champion, and then we have this like other character who's working his way through the minor league circuit. So we know like it's great foreshadowing. Something is coming forward. Meanwhile, the champion's like past is beginning to get stirred up by like all these reporters and stuff digging into it. So crazy story, and it's one of the most beautiful comic books on the shelf these days. Coming in at number 3, wrapping up its first story arc, Is Theyre Not Like US, issue number 6, Engage with Your Shadow. So it's weird because it feels like this could have been a series finale, but then it sets up for a much bigger story, and I feel like we now have, like, I don't know, like 2 schools of X-Men that are about to go to war with each other, like crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of like Schism.
Things happen. Yeah, I feel like I just read a more
articulate and thoughtful Schism.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly what Foxy said.
And even at the end of it himself, he says endings are just beginnings.
Yeah.
So,
which I was a little bit like, okay. I know how you ended the last book that you made me fall in love with. Oh wait, I'm still waiting.
Speaking of, Nowhere Men resolicit in this new previews watches next week. But let me just say, we've already seen Nowhere Men getting a new printing of Volume 1 in anticipation of Arc 2 happening in the fall, which is so awesome!
I will be awesomed when it actually happens, and until then I remain skeptical. You've broken my heart for too long.
I assume this means Nate Bellegarde is doing better, which fucking awesome, dude.
Which is totally awesome.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Nate. I can't wait to see your work.
Coming in at number 2 this week, we have Providence, issue number 1 from Alan Moore. Crazy is what this story is. It's Alan Moore doing the occult, doing some Lovecraft, tons of references to like, I don't know, ancient French texts and like books of the deaf and all kinds of stuff. But basically it's about a reporter who decides that it's a really good idea to increase the circulation on his newspaper, like circa 20th century. So it's like 1906, I think. So they're going to start writing these like horror-themed pieces for their newspaper, which leads them to start doing some research on some really, really terrible things. So that's where that story is going to go. It's amazing. Check it out. It's going to be a lengthy read, so you really only brush the surface with the first issue, but already so many questions that I need answered. And coming in at number 1 this week, I don't know that anybody is surprised by this one, but it's Fight Club 2, issue number 1. Long awaited. Chuck Palahniuk, Cameron Stewart. It's awesome.
I'm surprised that it made it onto your top 5.
I know, because I typically don't go for Fight Club.
But it's that good.
But it is that good. I liked it because it was so different from Fight Club, the book and movie, because that whole story is so wrapped up in, am I crazy, am I not crazy, what's going on? Oh, psych, I'm crazy, same person the whole time. This new one, it's already established that
there's no like shocking twist with this. It's starting with the twist.
So now it's, when I go crazy, how crazy do I go?
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. I love the character development in it, and I loved the artwork Cameron Stewart did. I thought did a great job with it. And what I love the most about it is that it's mild for Chuck Palahniuk. Like it's gross when it needs to be gross, and it hits you when it needs to hit you.
But it didn't feel exploitive like a lot of the stuff does.
Right, but it was all in the context of the story he's trying to tell, not in the context of, I'm going to gross you out because I can and you deserve it.
I'm sure we'll get some of that down the line. Sure. But, I'm with you. I thought Cam's layouts were really cool. There's some experimental elements that I thought really played into it nicely.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, the rose petals and the pills on the page, like, how that's going to play out over the course of, like, the whole series, and is that, like, an intentional pattern that they're doing? Is it just are there certain things that we're going to see later that are covered up in those frames? I don't know. It's going to be insane. Mm-hmm. So, definitely top 1. Go out and get it. It's got 2 awesome covers. There's a Cameron Stewart cover, there's a Dave Mack cover, and then there's a 3rd cover by none other than Lee Bermejo. So if you're reading Suiciders and you're like, this is awesome, get a Fight Club cover.
Yeah, you're probably going to need the Lee Bermejo cover.
This is Fight Club. Awesome. Alright, that's going to do it for our top 5 this week. We got 2 graphic novels to get into before we let y'all get back to your busy weeks. A book that was often talked about on our top 5. It is the Valiant trade paperback. Jeff Lemire, Matt Kint, Paulo Rivera. Awesome book. Check it out. And $9.99.
$9.99.
Hell, that's crazy low.
That's like some image pricing stuff, dog.
Right, and on the other end of that spectrum, we have this from IDW. It is TMNT Ongoing Volume 1. It's the first 12 issues of the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, which if you have not read, read it. Foxy.
Oh yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yeah, that was one you resisted me on
for a long time, but I'm on board now, just in time for it to end.
just in time for it to end, indeed. And what's great is you also not only get the main ongoing stuff, but you're also going to get all of the micro series in these editions. So they're gonna do the whole series like these. So there'll be like 5 of them on your bookshelf. They're all going to be beautiful, and you're going to get every single issue of Ninja Turtles the way it was like released.
The read order.
Read. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're not $9.99, but they're totally beautiful. That'll do it for this week's episode. Be sure to check back next week as we get into Previews Watch and deeper into the Secret Wars, which, Foxy, is there an issue next week? Tell me there's Secret Wars 3 next week.
I haven't seen the invoice.
I can't live without it!
I'm sure there will be something Secret Wars related.
Alright. That'll do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and non-Convergence DC, which...
What?
Right.
I might read a DC book.
But that's not Shazam.
That's not Shazam.
Alright. And until next week, rise or die.
Rise or die.